What's up, everyone? Welcome back, and it is time to make up your mind with me, Mandy. And I have a very special guest today. Her name is Eve Mauro, and she's an actress here in Los Angeles and probably all over other parts of the world. Say hello.
Yeah, hello.
So we're here in LA, and we met in LA, so hey.
Yeah. So, but sometimes my movies stream in other places other than Los Angeles.
Like right now, one's on Netflix that we worked on together, Cypher.
Netflix, is it? It's on Roku.
Roku. My bad, Roku. Yeah. But that's what we worked on. That's how we met.
Yeah.
That was like 3 years?
3 years, something like that.
I think it might have been more because I was with my ex at the time. We've been broken up for 2. So it was over, I think 4.
At least, well, yeah, maybe 4 years, 4.5 maybe, because the pandemic was 2 years, And
we're still.
Yeah, this is still going on.
I think
I forgot.
Anyways, yeah. But yeah, that's how you and I met. I was a makeup artist and hairstylist on there, and you kind of just clicked, and we stayed in touch. I just really like your energy, and you're here.
Yeah, we've got this fiery energy.
Sag and Leo, baby.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
I know. Don't take us to a party together.
Oh my God. We are the party. Yeah, but I'm really happy to have you here, and thank you for taking the time out to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So where are you originally from, and how did you get to LA, and what made you decide to get into the entertainment industry?
All right. Originally, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. My father came over here from Sicily on a boat through Ellis Island.
Italiano.
Yeah, Sicilian. Little different,
Okay.
Yeah, Sicilians and Italians don't like to be called the same thing. So
I'm sorry, guys.
No. But everywhere, it's a weird thing.
We're 2 minutes in and everybody
shit. All right, here we go. And but he came through, went to New York first, then he moved to Atlanta. He opened a lot of strip clubs there. Actually, he did he first did burlesque clubs because strip clubs weren't around back then. And then he did male review, male strippers, and then female strippers, and then punk rock clubs, things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where he met most of his wives, including my mom.
Most of his wives?
Yes. He came to America. He's like, blonde hair, blue eyes, and nice breasts.
I'm like, he's a stud, apparently. He has to be a stud.
Yeah. I mean, he's born in 1934, so he's had his time, but he's a good-looking man.
Yeah?
Yeah, he loved the women, and he had a lot of them.
Apparently.
So I am... he met my mom. They worked together. We lived in Atlanta. So I'm the youngest of 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
Wow.
I have one sister, and I share the same mom and dad.
Okay.
And from there, we had a little bit of some things happen in Atlanta. So we moved to Florida. I stayed there for a while. Parents did real estate. I got into acting and just I was really creative. I found it difficult to talk to people. And, sometimes through other things, that's how you express yourself. And me being creative and me having this outlet. So, I was kind of a shell, and I was timid in certain ways. And being an actress, and I could be any character, or I could do anything, and I could get on stage and I could perform. And so then, I did a lot of schooling. I dropped out of school. And after that, I was working in a law firm, chiropractor's office, you name it. And I got a severance from the law firm because, they just didn't need me anymore. And I used the $1,000 severance, bought a ticket to LA, one-way ticket. And I lived in South Central first. 54th and Crenshaw. I rented a room from the Penny Saver. Do you know the Penny Saver?
I remember. Oh my God. That's how I used to look for jobs.
Yeah, right? So I go to the Penny Saver and I'm looking it up, and there's this lady named Miss Evelyn Smith. She was renting a room for like $300 in this house. And then I was just renting out there, and I looked around for model agencies at the time. And my first job was a Madonna video, the Hollywood video. Everyone comes to Hollywood, tried to make it in the neighborhood.
How interesting. That was your first video, and that's literally what you just did.
Yeah. And then dope ass director, Jean-Baptiste Mondino. He did a couple of others. Yeah, and so we did that. That was my first job. And then ever since then, I've been working mostly in modeling and acting, and here I am with you.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy to have you. Yeah. So, like, growing up in Atlanta with your dad, being with multiple women and things like that. Did that affect you as a child, or did it affect your family, or?
No, and in a way, I think the whole thing is a lot of people want to use something that's happened to them as a child, which we can all take from what's happened to us in a child,
sure.
and we could build off of that.
Sure.
But a lot of times, like for instance, with my father, he was with a lot of women, and he did have strip clubs, and he had male burlesque or male review clubs and things like that. But the way he treated them wouldn't have been any different. But then again, for instance, let's say a lot of people, things happen to them, traumatic or anything. They tend to, everyone has a traumatic childhood. We've all gone through trauma. I mean, for the majority of us, yeah. So you look at it that way, but a lot of people want to use that as an excuse
Right.
to why they are the way they are. And I just think that's a bunch of bullshit, because you could look at people who've gone through hell and back and they're doing fine. And they're not saying, hey, well, I went through this and this is the reason why I'm this way. And I find that that's a really shallow way of thinking, because there's a quote I just remember. I try to memorize a quote per day.
I love that.
And it says, I think that only shallow people can hold on to a sorrow. It's a man who's mastered himself can let go of a sorrow as easily as he can evince a pleasure. So I want to, So I don't want to be the master. I don't want to be. I'm so bad. I just started memorizing this one today.
It's okay.
So it's like I want to use my emotions. I want to master them, and I want to dominate them. So with that, and that was Oscar Wilde, and I paraphrased the shit out of that. But it's saying to hold on to these things. It's really what it is. It's misery for yourself, right? And these awful things that have happened to you, to take it and to feel this emotion and just to let it go as quickly. A lot of people want to hold on to this negative stuff rather than holding on to these positive things that happen. And so just take it, accept it, go through the emotion, let it go. Don't fucking wallow and sit there and make that be a part of your life. Don't identify with this being who you are.
Because that's just a thing that happened. It's not you.
It's not you. And if you want to make that about who you are, that's your choice. And you know what? There's a lot of people, well, I grew up like this, and this is just the way it's going to be.
It's
Yeah, it is. Well, you know what? Then I would have been living in Florida still, probably no job, high school dropout, not doing shit, maybe smoking crack. I don't know, but I'm not. And I didn't think of where I came from as this crutch. I didn't think, when I moved out here, I was like out of my mind, delusional. And that's what you need. You need this delusion, this grandiose thing about yourself to make it. Because it's like, I believe in myself. I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. I believe in me. And if you have that, if you walk in a door and you have that passion and you have that drive and you believe in yourself, other people are going to believe in you. They want to believe,
Everybody wants positive.
Yeah.
And they want to believe, and they want something to believe in. I always say the pain should push you.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, because like going through a pain, you don't want to feel that anymore. You just want to move along. But again, like you said, some people sit in that and it's like you're cheating yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're literally cheating yourself. And like everybody's fucked up. Honestly, like we are all messed up.
Oh, yeah.
It's how you deal with it. It's literally how you deal with it and how you use not as an excuse, but you use it as like stepping stones.
Yeah.
To get to where you're going.
Definitely.
Yeah. So were you always interested in entertainment?
Not always. I remember the first thing I wanted to be, oddly enough, I wanted my name to be Roxy.
Okay.
One of those things. I wanted her name to be Roxy, her name, my imaginary person.
Alter ego.
Yes. I'm like, her name will be Roxy, and she'll be working at a bar, one of the smoky bars near piano, and she'll be singing like the blues and stuff like that, and everyone's smoking cigarettes. And then at night, she'd be an assassin. So when I was a little girl, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be Roxy, this blues singer, in a smoky bar, singing fucking songs. And then at night, I'd go kill people. And, I'm still, maybe there's a hope.
Maybe you should make a movie out of it. To me, it sounds a little bit like a plot. Okay?
Yeah, but I was like, I don't, because I didn't know. And that's one good thing about my parents, because they were just open books. Like, they didn't teach the same way other people did. I mean, because they were characters within themselves. So
tell me a little bit about your parents.
Yeah.
Like your mom.
My mom, she came from a lot. you know, and we all have our struggles. She came, her family, her mother died at a young age, and then she was given to a couple other families, ran away. And there's parts of her story that would need to be told by her. But
Absolutely.
yeah. But, you know, I adore her. She's a great person. She's been through so much. She's had struggles and things like that, but she was always with me, especially. There was, you know, if someone said anything to her kids, because she had me and my sister and then my older brother with another man. My brother's mixed race. And, you know, first of all, in Georgia back then, or in Florida, in certain parts, you know, if someone said anything to us, my dad's Sicilian, we're a lot darker than my mom too. My mom is like a fucking firecracker. Like, she jumped over this fence once and started beating some lady's ass. Like, no one could say anything to her kids, you know?
Mama bear to the fullest.
Yeah, you know, but there's things that she also did as well. Like, you know, I would just roam around the backyard and do things. And she never made me feel weird, or my father at all, about whatever I do. I was very particular about certain things, but them not judging or them not shutting me up, you know, when I was a chatterbox and when all those things that they let me do, it wasn't, you know, because the world conditions you. Say this, do that, do this, say this. And then you aren't even yourself. It's like Tetris. When you fit in, you disappear. And all these people are disappearing and they're becoming what society wants us to become. And we lose our individuality. We lose why we were brought on this planet, because we're like all snowflakes. We're so fucking intricate, right?
We're so so different.
And that's why we're here. We're not here to be the same person. And so I was allowed to be this weird, eccentric little girl. I had aluminum foils on the window. I had no idea why. I would do these weird things and dances.
They supported you.
Yeah. And it's not that they thought it was, I mean, I'm sure they did, but they let me.
They didn't care.
Yeah, do it. She's going to do whatever she wants. Oh, she's a little weird. I pissed my pants until I was in 5th grade. Why? I don't know. Like, it's not that my parents didn't teach me, but I was like, I was so busy doing this and I didn't want to miss out. And then I'm just like, oh, now I'm pissing my pants, I guess, you know? And then finally I was getting made fun of the kids. And I'm like, I got to figure this thing out. I'm doing all of these other things and I just need to put my focus in something. Not that they didn't mention things to me, but they didn't make me feel bad about who I was. I was on my own path, and everyone has their own paths, even when it comes to learning and things like that. We put these children all together and we expect them to learn the same way. And that's not right. Everyone learns differently. And, you know, I do have slight dyslexia. I have things like that. But even just to try and understand, like, the school system, it just caters to one type of learning, you know, and it's not fair. And some kids need to be hands-on, and some kids need other things.
Some kids can't sit still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and then that kid can't sit still. Oh, okay.
Now they're that child.
Then the whole class is like, oh, that's like little Tommy. He can't, like, and then how it makes the kid feel. It's like that will stay with that kid forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
It will. And then they're holding on to that. And then there's all these little things. If the kid can't sit still, all right, then you know what? We're going to learn your ABCs. Put that A up there. Run back. Run back. Do this. Do that.
Cater to their needs.
Not say, I want all, you know what? I've had a tough day. I'm pretending to be a teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
Go.
And action. I've had a tough day. You guys do your lesson. I want you to sit in silence and then write your A's and B's. I don't know if you do cursive. Just do it there. And then you could come up to the desk and raise your... That's not how you learn. And I didn't learn that way. I would fall asleep in certain classes.
Same.
I couldn't keep my eyes open. And they would just talk.
The monotone.
Monotone. And when I can't fall asleep at night, I put on a documentary with some voice that sounds like my English teacher when he used to talk. Like, and when I was a kid, I used to think about this fucking guy. He talks so slow and like this. When
like
I couldn't fall asleep. Yeah.
Dry eyes or clear eyes are better than dry eyes.
And then when I couldn't fall asleep, I'd think about him and I'd knock out. I'm like, but this is, and then you wonder why I dropped out of school. I'm like, it didn't cater to the way that I need to be taught. And so dropping out of school.
What year did you drop out?
10th grade-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, dropping out of school, everyone's like, oh, education is great on paper, but it doesn't even matter anymore.
It literally doesn't.
I've educated myself so much more than all these, my friends. Some they have master's degrees.
I learned more on TikTok than I did in school.
And then YouTube videos.
Yes.
You know?
There's so much out there.
But we conditioned everyone to think that we need to be the same way, that the children need to do this, and we need to say this, and we're all like these sheep. And that's why we're so depressed, because we're living in this thing that was created for us, but it's not us. And it's so sad. And we do this and we go to church and we wake up and none of us are alive. We're dead already. And
We're just existing. We're not living.
Yes.
I say that all the time.
Yes, exactly.
That's why I always encourage people, like, go after what you want. You have to go after what you want because you're just going to be miserable, wasting your life away, making somebody else rich.
Yes.
Like, it's like, I just got so tired of it.
Yeah.
I just got so tired of it. And I was always just such like a very intricate kid too. Like I would put on these shows, like 4 years old, Dirty Dancing, like in love with Johnny Castle, Patrick Swayze. We had the same birthday, literally obsessed. That movie literally changed my life. I was like, I want to be Baby. Like, what does Baby do? I want to be Baby. I was like, oh, she's an actress. I'm like, cool. I want to be an actress. Like literally I sang, I danced, I put on shows, like fashion shows, like with video cameras before TikTok, like literal like skits and stuff like that. And you look at me now and I have my own freaking podcast. You know
we're
what
doing
I mean?
the same thing. It's the same thing we did when we were kids. Then we're like, we have to stop doing this. We have to stop. We have to be serious. We got to get a job as an accountant. Fuck you. I'm not gonna, some people like that.
Yeah,
some people like
numbers.
Yeah, some people like this stuff. But don't tell me what I have to do. Don't tell me I have to get married by a certain age. I'm 40. I've never been married. I've never had kids. And you know what? Now I don't want one. And then it's like, oh, well, when are you planning? Like, who made up this rule? Like, when did this? Like, I'm gonna start making up rules too. That's
just like National Donut Day and stuff. I'm like, what the? I'm like, yeah, okay, today's national. Like, what? Like, let's just make shit up now. Yeah, like, that's how I feel.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they made up the way we're supposed to live.
Yes.
I mean, we're not supposed to live this way. I don't think. And don't. We're
meant to be way more than that.
And we're free spirits. We're alive. We like. It's exhausting not to be yourself. It's exhausting not to fully fucking go out there and like be alive and, do what you want to do. You said, a lot of people don't do this. You're doing your podcast, you're doing all these things, but they have this fear of failure. Well, when you're on your deathbed and you don't do that, who fucking cares if you fail? I fail every day. That's what being in the entertainment industry is about.
Oh my God.
Every day. And I learn from my failures all the time. I'm like, man, I messed that up. And I beat myself up and then I'm like, I'm not going to do it again. And I get stronger and I get more fucking awesome,
No,
like,
seriously.
Failure gives you character. And I can say, yeah, I really messed that up. I mean.
But what did you learn from it?
Yeah. And you always learn. Otherwise, if you don't learn.
You weren't paying attention.
Yes. Oh.
My dad said that all the time. All the time. He's like, if you didn't learn, you weren't paying attention. He's like, you need to redo it. That's why, like, I feel like the universe or God, whatever you guys want to call it, whatever anybody calls it, will keep giving you the same lesson until you like overcome it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
like bad relationships, like crappy jobs, or like, you keep not being able to like be on your own or something like that. It's like, because you have to learn something.
You do. It will keep coming back in different forms. You don't speak up for yourself and then it's going to keep happening again. That first time you do it, it's like always go towards the thing that scares you. Not like in a stupid way. Not saying, hey, go towards shooting up. I'm not saying that shit. I'm saying towards the thing that scares you in a good way. Like, oh, well, I know you offered me this for the job, but my rate's normally this. Why don't I say, like, just say it. What do you have to lose? Like, what?
And you have to know your worth.
Yeah, you have to know your worth because no one's gonna tell you for you. They're gonna always,
they're gonna try to kind of get, yeah. So it's like, know your worth. Like, if you feel like you're worth this much, say it, ask for it. Yeah. They might say no. Cool, not meant to be next job. Somebody will pay you.
Because if you don't know your worth and they're not going to tell you, it's not even entertainment industry. It's like, I remember working at a job and I would work 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then I was like cleaning little things around here and there. And once it was like after a year, and I asked my boss, I'm like, do you think I can get a raise? He's like, I was just wondering when you were going to ask. Of course. I'm like, man.
If you don't ask, the answer will always be no.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person, I can't talk right now. I'm the type of person where I'm like, I know what I want, and I'm like, where there's a will, there's a way. Like, and if that person tells me no, that's not my customer, that's not my person, that's not part of my journey.
Yeah, that wasn't your door. Yeah.
Yes,
and then
totally.
It's like when one door shuts, another one opens, or sometimes when the door shuts, lock it, bolt it up, like
forget about it. Yeah. It's not there anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say some of your hardest struggles have been up to now in your life?
Okay. Well, when I was younger, I was really depressed at one time, and I found I was closing off from people, and I wouldn't come out of my room, really quiet. And the funny thing is, I thought that I would never see that person again, because it took me a long time to get out of that.
Okay,
right?
understood.
But I did this work on myself, like every day, still even to the day. I wake up in the morning, I write in my journal, I meditate, I go hiking, I memorize. If I'm not doing work on something, I'll memorize a poem or a quote. I'll do all of these things because I need that for my own mental health. And then, I was doing all of these things. And recently, actually, I was depressed. And I talked to my analyst once a week and everything. I'm like, I don't know what it is, what's going on. This is during the pandemic. I'm like, I do all these things and I'm healthy and I'm hiking and I'm not abusing my body in any way. And I'm like, I just can't get out of this funk. And I didn't really want to get up. And I'm like, I feel like walking in front of a bus today. Not really, but I was like, I said that to him. I'm like, I've got nothing. And he did. There's such a stigma on taking things. And, I really don't care because it helped me.
I love that you're talking about this.
Yeah.
Keep going. I love it because I have stuff to info. I'm so happy you're talking about this.
It helped me. And I was telling some of my friends and they were saying depressed. My doctor's like, let's put you on Lexapro, small dose, okay? And he's like, I know there's a stigma, but he's like, you're doing all the work. But you think of it like this, like my car battery has been running for so fucking long and I just ran it out. I left my lights on, everything. It's dead. And I just needed someone to jump my battery. And now I'm going to keep, you know what I mean? It's getting that recharge right now. And that's the way I'm looking at it, and it's not forever. And since I took it took a while. I still stuck to my schedule. Every morning I have my skills or my habits I do, make my bed every day. I do that. And then things started getting lighter. I wasn't becoming so OCD about certain things and I can't take care of this or, I wanted everything to be a certain way. I'm like, I just started letting go a little bit. I'm like, it's okay. And having more mindfulness, which I try to practice too, and just being in the moment, I'm like, it's okay. And I have a pretty fucking good life.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be here. And I'm like, there's so many factors and it does have to do with, genetics and things like that. But, my battery was dead and I needed a little jump. And I know there's a stigma on it, but it helped me. And a lot of girls are like, oh, I don't want to take that. Or a lot of guys I know, I'm like, man, it can help you. And I was doing everything. I was doing everything by the book, but I still couldn't get there. I couldn't get happy. I was just sad. And, for whatever reason, it doesn't have to be something happen. It could be multiple things happening.
And then hitting you later. It's like holding, suppressing, and then being in a pandemic by yourself, creative, and not being able to be on set like we are every day and see people and oh my God, we have to wear a mask. And then the media, instilling fear. It's like, holy shit. And then we were just by ourselves. You sat with yourself, but guess what? Look at what came out on the other end of that. You were low, but you fixed it and you're happy to be here and you're able to speak to people and help them. Just speaking from my experience, I'm just so glad you brought this up because I haven't shared this with my audience yet. And as I go along, I'm going to start to share more with you guys. I just don't want to bombard you because my life, we'll get there. But during the pandemic is when I came up with the concept for this podcast. Oh. So I was at my lowest point too. It's like you said, oh, you told your therapist you wanted to walk in front of a bus, but you weren't serious, but you kind of were. Type thing. You were going to do it, but that's how you felt.
Laughing, but not
but
really.
That's how you felt, but you weren't going to go do it. Same thing with me. It was I wanted to be alive and I loved living, but I didn't understand why. I'm like, why? Why is all this happening? Why is all this happening? This is really messed up, whatever. So I basically seeked therapy and I got on Zoloft, which is more anxiety. No, it's antidepressant, but I'm more on the anxiety side, but they said that it would help with anxiety. So I started Zoloft. I started my therapy. I started to really dive hardcore into mental health. And that's how I came up with the concept of this. Cause I was like, if I'm feeling this way right now by myself and I was able to ask for help and seek it, how many people out there are feeling this way and not talking about it and not seeking help and God forbid taking their life, whatever. I never wanted anybody to feel like that again. And ever since I was a little girl, I've always felt the need, like, I need to save people.
Yeah.
Like, I was that girl at all the parties, like, are you okay? Stop drinking.
Yeah.
Are you okay? They take ecstasy. Oh my God, are you okay? Do you need food? Like,
Yeah.
I could never just chill.
Monitor.
Yes, but I don't want kids though. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like, I'm so nurturing and loving and I care so much about people. So I found a way to do it.
Yeah.
And we're here today.
And you know what? And the thing is too, like coming from us, we're both very strong women,
Yes.
right? And for me to say, and for you to say, and I feel like if anyone's out there, they're like, oh, they have it all together or whatever.
No.
But like, I still needed help and I did everything. It's not like I was doing nothing. I did everything and I still needed it. And it's okay. And it's okay to accept it. And it's okay to talk about it. Like, why are all these things taboo? Hey, I'm on Lexapro and I feel great. I don't want to walk in front of a bus. Like, fuck off. Who cares?
Yeah.
And it's like all these things that we're not supposed to say and do. It goes back to being conditioned. It's like we are living, and you know what I mean? It's just like we're living this. We can't do this. We can't say this. Fuck it. This is our life. We have one life and it's so precious.
And regret lasts longer than fear.
Yeah.
Like you said, on your deathbed, like you're going to be like, damn it, I should have did that.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And it's just, I just think it's so important for everybody to know, and this is like the motto of my podcast. I'm not sure if you know, but you literally just said it in other words. It's okay to be vulnerable and ask for help.
Yeah.
You're not weak.
Uh-huh.
You're not weird.
Yeah.
You're not like, oh my God, like, no. Like, if you are suffering, ask for help. And at the end of every episode, we put like the suicide hotline and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I just want people to know, like, there is, even if you are afraid to talk to somebody, again, this is why I have my podcast, like, tap into this podcast and listen, and you'll understand you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that people go through stuff, and we just have to remember who we are, remember our identity, and find our love and our passion, and remember what we have in our lives to be grateful for. Even when we feel so low, no matter what, I swear to God, you can look around the room and find at least one thing you're grateful for.
Yeah. And you know what, that
gotta focus on
vulnerability, that right there, that's what's so strong. If you could be vulnerable around someone, or you could, you know, like me sharing this, you sharing that, it's so, you put yourself in such a vulnerable position. But like, that vulnerability is really like, that's this essential part of life, this beautiful part of life.
It leads to connection, and then that leads to inspiration.
And I was listening to a book on tape, Gabor Mate. He deals with substance abuse and things like that. And he says most people, the reason why they start using substances is because of this vulnerability, either in social situations or feeling sad or regret or anything. It's because of vulnerability, and they're not comfortable being there. So that's a lot of what triggers.
They're covering something up.
Yeah, and it is this vulnerable thing. I feel like we have to always put ourselves in a vulnerable position around the right people and be comfortable there, because it's going to help other people. It connects people, and we are all people, but we're all trying to pretend like, oh man, I'm too cool. No, we all need each other. Someone needs to hear me say, hey, I'm a Lexapro. And I felt like walking in front of a fucking bus. It'd be like, you too? All right, then I'm not going to walk in front of a bus. Maybe I need to talk to a therapist. Maybe, you know, like, people need to hear it. I mean, I hope you don't mind. Like, you lost your father and all that shit.
No, I don't mind.
You know, that's tough. And that's, I mean, I can't imagine what that feels like. But there are other people who that does happen to, and they don't want to be alone. They don't have friends or people in their circle who's gone through that. But they need to hear it from someone else. Like, okay, like, she felt this too, and it's okay. You know, I'm not overreacting, or I should feel this way, and it's okay to hurt today.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, and you know, like you said, sit through the emotions, process it, like, give yourself some time to go through it, and then pick yourself up and get up, because you have to keep going. Like, you have to keep going. You know what I mean? And just like during the whole pandemic thing, when I said the concept of this show, I think what triggered it the most was my, like, realizing, like, this pandemic is happening. The uncertainty, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows. Like, it's new, it's scary, it's fresh, it's whatever. My dad was my best friend, literally, number one supporter.
You mentioned that he said something to you.
Yes.
At the beginning of this.
Literal protector. And I felt like, wow, all this is going on. And like, my dad's not here physically to protect me anymore. I fucking flipped.
Yeah.
I flipped, you guys. I had my first anxiety attack, like, ever, the day that we had a curfew. It was like the first day that the protest started happening. It was like that Saturday. I was out in Joshua Tree modeling, and then we had no service, right? And then we come back, we all get service, and it's like curfew, 8 p.m. you have to be. And we were like, oh my, because we were going to go to Big Bear. We were going to continue shooting. We're like, fuck, we got to get home. Yeah. So we all decided to go home. Well, I didn't want to go to LA because the protest, I was scared. Yeah. Both my roommates were out of town. I lived with roommates at the time. So I was a female all by myself. My dad, it really hit me like my dad's not here to protect me.
And you're a woman alone.
And I freaked the fuck out. And I had I didn't go home. I stayed in the Inland Empire with my friend, with Alyssa.
Oh shit.
With Alyssa. Oh my God. Shout out to Alyssa. So I stayed with Alyssa. Both of her parents are sheriffs. So I was like, I'm in like the safest place ever. Yeah. And she like literally took care of me. Like I was in her car and we were talking and I literally started hyperventilating. She told me, she's like, Mandy, you weren't breathing. She's like, you literally weren't breathing. Like I was in her passenger seat and I couldn't breathe. I was crying, but that means I was breathing. But then there were literally moments of silence where she was like, you weren't breathing. Like you were not breathing. She held my hand and talked me through for literally 45 minutes. She literally tucked me into bed that night, gave me a weighted blanket. Like she took care of me and I will never forget that. And that was my first anxiety attack ever. And then I had another anxiety attack, tons of anxiety attacks during the pandemic. But I remember I had one and I literally felt like I was going to die. I literally felt like I was dying. And I had like a Xanax or whatever. And I remember just taking like a tiny little piece of it. And I was like, I don't want to get addicted to this because I do have like a past, we'll get into that different episodes. But I was afraid to take that because I didn't want to get addicted. But honestly, that tiniest little piece completely took away all my anxiety and I went to sleep. And I was trying so hard to talk to my therapist, like the Zoloft isn't working. Like I don't need an antidepressant. I need something for anxiety. Yeah. Well, they don't prescribe barbiturates anymore. They don't prescribe those anymore, like opioids or whatever, because they're too addictive. Oh, so he's like, sorry, we can't get you Xanax. And I'm just like, none of this shit's
when did they stop prescribing Xanax?
No, but I'm like, I need it though. It's not like I'm just trying to like take it. Like I genuinely feel like I'm gonna die.
Yeah, of course.
And I fought my way through it. And
you had your friend there to help you too. And and that's really big of her. But you don't realize these people are there for you as well.
Alyssa's been there so much for me.
Yeah, but we like friends or whatever. But you have to ask. You have to be willing to to put yourself out there. Yeah. And, of course the Xanax helped, but having her there and watching you, it's comfortable. It's like your parents watching you when you're sick. If you get your fever gets too high and things like that.
Your mom.
And then being all alone.
That's what it was. I wanted my dad and my dad wasn't here.
And then, but that's being an adult too. And there goes all of this innocence. And now I'm just fucking alone. I'm sick. My tire is flat, this and that. And I just want someone to help me. And I'm screaming and no one's fucking there. And it's like, okay, like, it's you are alone, but you're not, and there's so many other people and, and beautiful interactions you can have with other people. Like when one door closes, when someone leaves your life, there's other people to take those places, but you have to be willing to accept it, not to live in it, to dwell in it and not accept anyone. Right.
And yes. And I really feel like people are in your life for a certain amount of time, like for seasons and all that. And like, my roommates at the time, like the one was a therapist.
Wait, your roommate was a therapist?
My roommate was a therapist.
Not your therapist, right?
No. Okay. And my other roommate, she suffers from like some issues, which she talked about. She's been on the show or whatever. She's actually the one who pushed me towards seeking help. Oh. So this would not be her, like without her being like, dude, Mandy. Like she literally put me, she's like, dude, Mandy, like you're affecting me. Like
what made her say? Was it a trigger?
Because I was fucking a mess. Yeah. I was literally in a walking anxiety attack, and like I was doing research during the whole research. I went down. They say the rabbit hole, honey. I went down the rabbit like bunker center of the earth. Like I was immersed in this shit. I'm not kidding. And I was like pretty much torturing myself, and I was just like, you guys, this is happening. And then she was finally just like, girl, like you need to talk to, you need to get on something. She's like, because I've gone my whole life without any medication. I was diagnosed with ADHD at age 10. And like I never had done anything for any of the trauma that I've been through, anything. I never dealt with it. And it hit me at 33 years old in the middle of the pandemic. But I'm so grateful because literally this is why we're here.
Yeah. I mean, it does. And we have talked about that prior to, like sometimes it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you. Then all at once it's like, boom, here it is. Everything you've been putting on the back burner. Well, it's all here now. Deal with it all,
And you're just like, hi, I'm not ready. I don't want to see you right now.
It's like panic attack. Yes. Go in front of a boss. Why do I exist? Yes. And your mind, And sometimes I'm realizing I just got to slow the fuck down because I'm all over the place, and I'm thinking about the past, and then I'm thinking about the future. I'm like, and that's like living like a crazy person. They live in this non-existent world, right? And I'm living in these two non-existent worlds, and I'm never living right now. And so now I practice mindfulness and being present in the moment. Like when I wash dishes, I'll try and sit there and I wash the dishes. It's actually a really nice feeling. The warm soap, the hit your hands. I'm like,
all the
just,
senses.
just being mindful. And I'm like, because my brain is scattered all here. I mean, the past, the future, things that don't exist, just creating scenarios. I'm like, just breathe, just be here.
It's breath. Breath is everything.
Yeah, it really is.
There's a saying, I'm sure you've heard it, is that if you live in the past, you're depressed. Or if you're depressed, it's because you're living in the past. And if you have anxiety, it's because you're living in the future. And that's why they call it the present. Because we're supposed to be living in the present.
Yeah.
So being present and mindful of where you're at and not thinking about what happened because you can't change it, or what's going to happen because you don't know yet.
Yeah.
It's like, just chill. Like, just live. And like, I actually, I don't know, I haven't shared this, but I actually like have stopped taking Zoloft for almost a year now. I just stopped cold turkey. I didn't want to be dependent on it. It was suppressing my appetite, which I wasn't too worried about because I was like staying in shape and all that, But like, I was just like, I don't want this in my system anymore. Like, I just don't. Yeah. Like, I want to try to do it. I want to try to heal myself like naturally and spiritually.
Yeah.
And so, especially since the beginning of this year, I've really been trying really hard. I've replaced all music with just classical.
Oh, right. I was listening to some classical on the way here. I can give you some great classical music.
Please. Yeah. I was just listening to before you were here too. I listen to classical, motivational speeches. So like Tony Robbins, I'm missing day 3 right now, but that's fine, of his like 5-day whatever. And I listen to Mel Robbins, Lewis Howes, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, like all these amazing people that I look up to and that I will be just as big as them one day. That's my goal.
It's, it begins and ends in your mind,
Oh my God. I say this all the time. I seriously feel, I'm like, did you hear the episode before? And like, are you like in my mind, girl?
Maybe I am.
You are literally saying you can even ask Brandon. I'm like, you're literally saying everything I say in my interviews, and I love it. Like, you're definitely meant to be here.
It means we've got,
it's the energy. It's the energy.
Yeah.
So, what got you on your, where did you start your spiritual journey? Like, where did you start when you knew it was about mindfulness? What steps did you take? Did you start reading books? What do you listen to? So we can give some advice.
Yeah. I mean, at first I would, say it was a down moment because the first time it's like when you're growing up as a kid, you get caught for drinking or whatever. You're like, oh God, please, don't call the cops or don't have the cops come. I promise I'll never do it again. And it's like when I found myself in those big ruts or something, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to read this meditation book, but I'm sitting there crying, like hysterical, and I just can't read it. But I'd always go back. It's okay. I didn't read the book a million fucking times. I didn't listen to the book on tape a million times, but I attempted to. And then one day, when I was ready, when I was in an okay state or whatever, that I started going hiking. I'm like, you know what? I'm always listening to music, and it's just, I'm like, I'm going to listen to a book on tape. And then I listened to it, and it was still that background. And then when I'm at the gym, I would listen to it because it made it a little easier than music. I was listening to what they had to say, and I was working out. And so then it started that way. And then I started just applying little things to my life. Like, oh, I remember what they said. Let me just make a note of that. And I would start applying it. And it goes like this. Like, we're always like, well, I could be here, I could do this. But you look at your life like a plant, when is a plant at its perfection from when it's a seed to full bloom? When would you say it's at its perfection?
It's never at its perfection.
But it always is. It's always exactly where it needs to be. That's it. From a seedling to full bloom, it is exactly where it needs to be. I put down that book a million times, but that's exactly what I needed to do in order to get to where I'm at. So I'm exactly where I need to be. And I always put myself down because I'm like, I could have done this a year ago. I should have started doing this. I'm like, but I needed to not do that, to be accepting of where it is now and how far I've grown. And I'll do the books on tape, and I write a journal every day. And sometimes in my week where I know like I was slacking or, like I took a day off, I'll put a little, like I have to write it out. I'll put like a little, one of those Post-it things, and I'll go back. I'm like, what happened that day prior to,
talk about it.
Made this, that. And then I'll put it together because man is like this. We're studying the Kardashians. We're studying some like obscure poet from the 18th century.
Or like a basketball player.
Yeah. I'm like, but the real master, you have to master yourself. And then once you master yourself, the world's at your fucking fingertips, you know?
We are literally the creator of our lives.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to master myself, and that's who I'm trying to get to know.
That's all we should do.
Yeah.
If we all focus on mastering ourselves, we will treat other people better and than what's happening, and our whole world will be a better place.
Yeah, yeah.
So everybody master yourselves. Focus on yourself, okay? Get up in the morning, 5 a.m., journal, meditate, work out, all that before you eat. And then then you eat, and then you go on with your day and you work and you do all that jazz, because it's there's
5 a.m. club, huh?
Well, yeah, the millionaire mindset.
Yes,
I love it. Yeah, so
another book.
Yeah, so just focus on yourself, and like I'm striving to read a book every single month, one book a month. I want to do 2, but 1 book a month. And really, honestly, if it doesn't feel like it's putting knowledge in my brain, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I'm like, it took me 35 years to figure this out, but I'm here.
So much garbage. We got to get rid of that. It's like a hard drive. You got to get rid of some of the shit to put in some more.
So true. So true. But we got to get going.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No. We have some times here, but it was amazing having you, Eve. I'm so happy that you're here. That was such a great conversation. Please let everybody know where they can find you, and if you could spell it out for our listeners as well.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at eve_Mauro.com. That's EVE_MAURO.
Yes, on all
platforms.
Like
a commercial. I broke something.
Hey! And you already know my name is Amanda Terry. I am your host, but I do go by Makeup Mandy. And you can find me on all social media platforms at makeup_Mandy. That's with an I. And please follow my podcast, this podcast, Make Up Your Mind with Mandy. It is at Make Up Your Mind, and that's with a UR_podcast. And we appreciate you being here and listening to us. And please subscribe, and we love you all, and we'll see you next time.
Woo!